All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. But good morning. Thank you all for attending. My name is Jasmine Hartenstein. I work for the Office of Community Affairs at the County of San Mateo, and I'm one of the Immigrant Services Coordinator. And I'm with my colleague.
Hi, Jennifer Llamas, also an Immigrant Services Coordinator, work with Jasmine in the Office of Community Affairs for the County of San Mateo.
So we'd like to say thank you for signing up for this info session. You all are probably wondering what the heck this is, what the county is doing, and so we're very excited to share this with you today and hope to consider you one of our partners moving forward. So we'll just go through some of the Gateways for Growth overview, community engagement categories and teams, what that means, some of the challenges we're facing, and basically our call to action to all of you. So local communities across the country have long seen the positive effects of a growing immigrant population. An influx of newcomers has driven population growth, revitalized neighborhoods, spurred innovation, and enriched communities with cultural diversity. In the face of this, many local governments, chambers of commerce, and nonprofits have been thinking more proactively about how to create an environment that sends a message of inclusion and social cohesion, maximizes the contribution of all residents, and gives community members the tools they need to thrive. To support and scale these pursuits, in 2016, the New American Economy and Welcoming America launched the Gateways for Growth, competitive opportunity for public and private sector organizations to jointly apply for 2 types of support to facilitate local immigrant integration and inclusion. Welcoming America is a nonprofit, nonpartisan national organization with a membership of a network of over 200 local governments and nonprofits, and works to connect and support local place-based initiatives that work to reduce divisions and support greater civic, social, and economic participation among new and long-term residents alike. Welcoming America leads this movement of inclusive communities across the world that are becoming more prosperous by making everyone who lives there feel like they belong. Through the Welcoming Network, members access peer learning opportunities, technical assistance, tools, and trainings to help transform their communities into more welcoming places. New American Economy is a bipartisan research and advocacy organization founded to educate, empower, and support local policymakers, influencers, and citizens across the country that see the economic and social benefits of a smart approach to immigration reform. The New American Economy has created a coalition of civic, business, and cultural leaders who span the political spectrum and represent all 50 states. NAE helps make the case for smart immigration reform in 4 main ways. They use powerful research to demonstrate how immigration impacts our economy. They organize champions at the grassroots and influencer levels to build support for immigration. They partner with state and local leaders to advocate for policies that recognize the value immigrants add locally. And they show immigrant contributions to American culture through film, art, food, sports, comedy, and more.
So this is the Gateways for Growth cohort for 2020 to 2021. So we were one of 19 municipalities chosen across the United States to receive a grant, which I think is a really grand feat. From this list, you'll see 3 in California and 2 in the Bay Area, which is us and Contra Costa County. We have peer calls with other localities where we bounce off each other's ideas, discuss where we are in the process, troubleshoot challenges, and other things like that. Next slide, Jess. So basically, Gateways for Growth offers 2 awards, one being the technical assistance and the second being tailored research. We applied for both, and I'm happy to say that we were awarded both. More detail on what these 2 awards mean in the next slides, but at a really high level, Award 1 is the specialized and procedural assistance from Gateways for Growth that will help guide all our work and ultimately result in the strategic plan. The timeline for this is up until the remainder of the year, December 2021. Award number 2 is the tailored San Mateo County specific research that will be provided for us, with the outcome being a research data menu. We plan for the release of this research report during Welcoming Week of 2021, which is usually either the 1st or 2nd week of September. Some of you may be aware that every year our office holds an Immigrant Integration Summit, and this year we will actually have Welcoming America there with us to help launch the research report and get us super excited for the strategic plan that will be released just a few months after that. Going more into depth on the technical assistance piece, we are receiving individualized assistance from New American Economy and Welcoming America to support the development of a multi-sector welcoming plan during the one-year period of the Gateways for Growth Award. The planning process includes building connections with community stakeholders such as yourselves, convening working groups, and developing and presenting the strategic plan. Since January of this year, we have been participating in monthly check-in calls with the Gateways for Growth team, through which New American Economy and Welcoming America are providing consultation on the planning process, troubleshooting challenges, and connecting us to other examples and resources as appropriate. As mentioned earlier, we also have opportunities to connect with current and prior Gateways for Growth awardees for peer-to-peer learning. In addition, New American Economy will be providing customized quantitative research specific to San Mateo County. You know, our county is at the heart of Silicon Valley and rests between two of the most progressive and inspiring counties in regards to immigrant integration, those being San Francisco and Santa Clara, and sometimes most of the data we currently see available is Bay Area wide. To fully see and understand the contributions of our immigrant community, as well as the challenges our immigrant populations face, data that's pinpointed to San Mateo County specifically is crucial. The research and data gained from these efforts will be helpful when promoting more inclusive and equitable policies, both internally within the county organization, as well as externally helping inform partner organizations with their advocacy and grant writing opportunities. Tailored data for San Mateo County residents will also help our office and the county improve our immigrant engagement and integration efforts, as well as provide guidance towards priorities. Data from all different types of areas will be provided, including the demographics of our immigrant populations, economic indicators, data points on the labor market, including immigrant tax contributions and spending power, information on education, entrepreneurship, housing, the number of refugees, and more. Over the past 5 years, Gateways for Growth has helped many cities and counties craft strategic plans aimed at immigrant integration. Through their advising and best practices, we've learned a few key things which are on this slide. Most strategic welcoming plans follow a similar path, which includes partner collaboration, a needs assessment, community engagement and input, and compiling all this engagement and input and data into a strategic plan. The plans that are developed are working documents meant to be changed and adapted over time. They're not static documents. So if priorities shift, they can be adapted and flexible. And also community collaboration is crucial to the implementation of the plan.
So here's our collaborative framework structure. It might look familiar, and that's because we didn't want to recreate the wheel. It's based off of the census strategic framework that our county used to have a successful complete count in 2020. So the County Executive Committee is at the top in purple and will play a critical role in building or guiding and supporting the efforts of the steering committee, and that's made up of our county manager and our board of supervisors. Our steering committee members come from various sectors, various regions throughout the San Mateo County, as well as serve diverse population segments across age, race, ethnicity, immigration status, ability, and language. The teal color will be comprised of additional community partners, hopefully all of you, that will help us in engaging with our community on needs, gaps, and challenges. This method is a best practice used by many cities and counties looking to engage their community residents through trusted partners. We've also successfully seen that this has worked with the 2020 census efforts. And so here is a brief timeline that we are trying to stick to. In March, we launched our first steering committee meeting, and we also confirmed some of the categories and community engagement teams that we'll talk about in a few minutes. April and September, this will be done for the needs assessment. We'll be gathering community input and info that will inform strategy. Community engagement teams will start conducting surveys, focus groups, community meetings. And in September and November, we'll be launching the research at the Immigrant Integration Summit. And then we'll be compiling this data and analyze information and create a draft strategic plan. In November and December, we'll be gathering feedback from both the executive team, the steering committee, and the community engagement teams, and we'll rewrite the final strategic plan. In December, we hope to present to the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors and then ultimately launch the plan. And community collaboration to begin implementation of the plan will happen in January, and the Immigrant Services team will facilitate and assist in implementation throughout the county. And so here's just a bit of a visual of this time frame. The planning team has been ongoing in this effort. Steering committee again launched in March and will go until December. Community engagement teams will launch in May and go until about December. And then the community engagement efforts will be happening May through October.
So these are the 5 categories that will compose the strategic plan. Each category you see listed is going to have its own team. So I'll go into the definitions of each category on the next couple of slides, but start thinking about which category or categories your organization would want to join. Next slide, Jess. Thanks. The first one is community connectedness and engagement. And so what this really means, so we asked our steering committee already to come up with definitions for these different categories. And so these are basically the definitions that we landed upon. So for community connectedness and engagement, what that means is programs actively welcome immigrants and work with their native-born neighbors to promote acceptance and assistance to promote inclusiveness and belonging for all, public engagement in all public processes, including civic engagement, volunteering, voting, PTA meetings, local city council participation with all immigrants, whether documented or not. Also access and freedom to fully participate in these civic activities at all levels, and also the outreach to provide the information to support informed decisions, building community trust, relationships, and purposefully investing in and lifting up immigrant leadership, developing and promoting leaders who look like the communities they serve, and also maximizing resources and impact by educating the community and working together on planning and implementing active solutions. So our steering committee members, some of them are going to, you'll see them listed in these 5 categories. So for the community connectedness and engagement, we have Nuestra Casa and COSIDE Hope, who are going to be chairing this, this community engagement team. And then some partners that are already under this team include SAMCETA, San Mateo County District 2, League of Women Voters, the Grow Foundation, District 1, District 3, and the Human Services Agency. So the next category is economic development. And what this means is that immigrants are accorded the consideration they need at work to manage the complexities of their new situations, that they have access to good jobs with fair wages, and that they are assisted in building their own self-sufficiency by promoting entrepreneurship programs and credential recognition, also planning for the future, helping businesses recover and grow, promoting economic sustainability, and creating opportunities for growth. Also creating a pipeline of job seekers and career pathways that show projected growth, promote educational opportunities for career development, and lastly, opening the door to opportunities for non-English speakers, those without higher education, allowing for skills that we may not immediately recognize to become part of the economy, and supporting their growth with trainings, financial literacy, etc. And so for this category, we have SAMCETA and the Grow Foundation that are going to be the chairs. And currently teams that are under this category already include the San Mateo County Housing Department, Self-Help for the Elderly, Excel, and Upwardly Global. The third category that we have is education opportunities and outcomes. And so what this means is that immigrant families are accorded the extra consideration of their and their children's needs for educational support, supplies, and tools. that we ensure our immigrant communities know how to access educational opportunities, increase access to services and supports needed to succeed in school, increase access to better and higher education while ultimately increasing graduation rates, promoting job preparation and career pathways through education, and developing collaborations for placements for job seekers, promoting and expanding ESL classes, community college courses, and scholarship information. And also a big component of education opportunity is providing that social emotional support and literacy and mathematic boost early on so that children are meeting and exceeding their learning benchmarks. And so for this category, we have the Office of Education and San Mateo County Health that are going to be the co-chairs, and organizations that are currently part of this category already include Legal Aid Society, SAMCETA, CoSide Hope, The Big Lift, Self-Help for the Elderly, Job Train, San Mateo County District 1, and Excel. And you may have noticed that some of these organizations have already been listed more than once, and that's because you can choose to be in more than one category. The fourth category that we have is equitable access to services. And this means that we ensure that immigrants have knowledge of and access to all the services congruent with their needs, regardless of status, and that they know where and how to access them. Also, a big part of equitable access is food security, rental and housing assistance, childcare, and access to healthcare. And it's really about meeting residents where they're at rather than expecting them to connect to us or on their own. Also, mapping the barriers to access, changing the systems to address those barriers, and adopting a no wrong door approach. Providing a sense of safety and assurance that utilizing services will not damage or hinder their security and immigration status. So really making publicly known that public charge is no longer a rule that's being enforced. Ensuring people providing services have an understanding of the different cultures and backgrounds where residents come from. And so for this one, we have 3 chairs actually, and they include Legal Aid Society, the Samaritan House, and Self-Help for the Elderly. And some organizations that are currently in this team include Office of Education, SAMCETA, Grow Foundation, CoSide Hope, District 1, District 3, Nuestra Casa, and the Human Services Agency. And the last category we have is safe communities. And this really means that ensuring immigrant children, youth, adults, seniors, LGBTQ+, and people with disabilities, regardless of their country of origin, feel that they can live, access services, succeed, and advocate without fear. And also working on mindsets regarding immigrants to keep them safe from harm, needing to empower immigrants to tell us what safety feels like in their communities. Better relationship and trust needs to be built with law enforcement so that immigrants feel rightfully safe from harassment or discrimination in their living environment, employment, education, and social settings. Continuously striving to decrease crime in our communities, accessible police, fire, first responder services, allowing immigrants to feel safe to be outside, clean streets, clean parks, etc. And also important to note that safety issues are broad. They not only include physical safety, but also emotional safety, access to healthcare and social service benefits programs, and access to other needs such as safe, affordable housing and education. And we currently have the Sheriff's Office that is chairing this category, and departments that are under it include CoSide Hope, the Department of Housing, and Catholic Charities.
So what does this mean for the roles of community engagement team members? If you sign up, you would be attending a monthly subcommittee meeting and contribute with your expertise and knowledge. Participate and conduct community engagement efforts. This could be surveys, either online or paper version, one-on-one outreach during direct services, again, meeting residents where they're already at, but making sure that they follow any COVID safety precautions. Community listening sessions, focus groups, town halls, and then provide details, data, and feedback on community engagement efforts. This will help us put in information into the strategic plan and making sure that our efforts and methods were transparent. So again, we can provide this document if you would like to participate as a community engagement team. It's just an overview of what this means, the purpose and role of the community engagement teams, assist in the outreach and engagement with immigrant community residents, help promote immigrant integration, community surveys, town halls, focus groups, and then again, provide additional feedback as a community service provider on the strategic plan once we draft that. And then some of the minimum requirements, again, attendance, you would need to attend each meeting. Alternates are available, so as long as somebody from your organization can attend, it doesn't have to be the same person, but making sure that there is a little bit of consistency, that whoever does attend is aware of what's going on. There'll be meeting minutes and agendas and summaries after each subcommittee meeting. Something that we are working through and we do want to acknowledge is that there are challenges to this work. Why are we doing a strategic plan when, you know, COVID is happening? Well, why not? First of all, this is the time that I think our immigrant community needs us the most, and the recovery for our immigrant community as well as all will be crucial. So we do understand that people are still working through the pandemic and they're focused on surviving, but this is why we think that this is important to start now. We know that there are competing priorities. Vaccine education and information is going out, recovery efforts. We know that redistricting is going to be happening, potentially a governor recall election. So we do understand all of the competing efforts that will be happening, but we want to ensure that our immigrant community is not left behind during this recovery. And so this is another reason that the strategic plan is so crucial. And then virtual setting environment versus in-person focus groups and community meetings. We don't know when we'll fully open up, so we do recognize that there is a digital divide. Not everyone has access to internet or computers, and so that's something also that we will be trying to work through. And so lastly, this is kind of our call to action. We need your expertise and leadership to make the strategic plan a success. Although the county is facilitating this effort, it will be a county-wide collaborative effort, both internally, county departments, city departments, nonprofit organizations, faith-based groups. We need all of the help that we can get to truly make this a successful plan. The outcomes of this plan will impact our immigrant communities for years to come. So we are trying to create a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. And so if you would like to sign up, you can either email us at immigrantservices@smcgov.org, or you can go to our quick little Survey Monkey and input your information and which community engagement team you would like to participate in. And so I think that that is all of the information we can provide today. If there are questions though, please feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask anything that you might have questions about.
Hi, Jasmine. It's Judah with Supervisor Carol Groom's office.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I had one question. I did take a look at the Gateway to, it was either the Gateway to Growth or New American Economy websites. I can't remember which one. And I took a look at some of the, a couple of the plans that I guess the previous cohort had just completed. It sounded like they had started in 2018 and I think they just completed theirs last year. One in particular that I looked at quite closely was Grand Rapids, Michigan. And they, a portion that they seemed to address was the value that immigrants bring to our communities through arts and culture. And really recognizing, you know, what they contribute and to help a community embrace that. And I'm wondering how we're thinking of addressing that within the strategic plan. In looking at these communities of engagement, I'm not sure where that would fall. Would it be under the first one, community connectedness. But something that so much of what I'm seeing here is really important stuff about making sure that our immigrant communities know all of the resources that we have here, and that we are opening our arms to make sure that they understand what's available to them and encouraging them to participate. But I'm not seeing where we recognize them and what they bring with them that make our community so vibrant.
Yeah,
And,
no,
I
I'm
mean,
really
even just
glad that you brought
field
that.
alone.
Yeah, no, this is great. And this is exactly why we are reaching out to all of our leaders and nonprofits and these communities that, currently do recognize the value of our immigrant communities in San Mateo County. And so I do agree. I think it might fit under community connectedness and engagement. And then I think under one of those bullet points, it was connecting the native born with the foreign born. And celebrating, the cohesion of being able to live together and enjoy, different cultures and different backgrounds and different stories. We can definitely add that to it. So if you are interested in doing a little bit more in that scope of work under that, I think we would love to have you and others. If you know of an organization that could help promote that work and those efforts, I think that if you don't mind sending them the info session, we still have 3 left, 1 today and 2 on Monday. So if they would like to learn a little bit more to see how they can get involved, we can definitely add that into the work that we're doing.
Okay, I've been working closely with the San Mateo County Arts Commission, and they have a strategic plan that they have just completed and are starting to launch. And one of the pieces in there has to do with art festival, which might fall, have some connectedness there that could, because I think that was part of it, was highlighting the not just art but cultures in our community. So I'll reach out to them and let them know of this opportunity.
Thank you, Judah.
You're welcome.
I just included the flyer for the other info sessions that we still have available in the chat. And I've also put a quick link to that SurveyMonkey.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions so far?
Good morning, Jasmine and Jennifer and everybody. This is Cesar from the Multicultural Institute. How are you?
Good morning, Cesar.
A couple of quick questions. The first one is the North Fair Oaks Community Council involved in some way in this process?
So I do.
Yes,
we had
Linda, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Linda Lopez, I think, is attending an info session, I believe later today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are informed about the process, right? They know about it.
I think through various networks, Jen has presented to a few different meetings as well as we have. So I think that they might not be fully aware, but they do have some understanding of what we're doing. And we did reach out and ask them to attend one of these info sessions so that they can become a part of one of our engagement teams.
Yeah, so my recommendation is, informing them and trying to connect them with this effort, because they are kind of connection between the county and North Fair Oaks. So I think it could be a good idea. And the other question is, are there some fundings available for the organizations involved in this process?
At this moment, unfortunately, the grant that we received is not a financial grant. So from Gateways for Growth, the only thing that they provide is strategic assistance and the research. So we don't get any financial support. If we did, we would absolutely funnel that through to our organizations. So at this point, we don't have any funding available. But we do have the Grow Foundation on our steering committee, and we're hoping that through the work that is going to be put forth in this effort, that they may be able to provide funding later on to implement this strategic plan, both for organizations that are participating So we do understand that the work that is being done is on a voluntary basis, which is why we're going to try and support that work as much as possible. So again, knowing that organizations are already stretched thin, how do we capitalize on their direct services? So if somebody is coming in, can we provide them a survey that they can give one of the clients that are coming in? Or is there a way that they can have something on their website? Or if there's ways that we can help facilitate, virtual town halls or community listening sessions. We won't be able to do everything, but we want to be able to help as much as possible the organizations that are doing this. But at the moment, we don't have any additional funding to provide.
And my last question is, what is the deadline for the sign-in for us?
I think we have asked each co-chair to start putting their meetings together in the middle of May. So I think May 10th through the May
21st.
or and so they are planning to have meetings every month. I think that it will be continuous. So if it's like the second Thursday at 11, I think that they're going to try and do something like that. So I guess before May 10th, but then that gives you a little, not as much time to plan if they already have a date in mind. So earlier would be better.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for joining us, Cesar.
And good morning. This is Jose Aguirre from the CARON program. How are you doing?
Good
Hi,
morning.
Jose.
Yeah, good to see you. This is very interesting topic, and I would like to get more information about the role for each of the subcommittees, and also wondering from the Safe Community Committee, is the Sheriff's Office involved? Who is in charge from the Sheriff's Office in that regard, so we can have that direct connection with that.
Yeah, so I think it's Captain Corpus who is on the steering committee and who volunteered to lead one of the subcommittees, which is the Safe Communities. And then again, the main role of these subcommittees is really to be that connection between the immigrant community and the strategic plan. We do have a steering committee. We will be putting these subcommittees together, but we want to ensure that the voices of our immigrant community are heard in this plan. So as you can see, we asked our steering committee, what does safe communities look like? How do we define that? How do we describe that? Well, we have a baseline that's not set in stone, because we want to ensure and make sure that our immigrant community feels the same, and that is what safe communities mean to them. We don't want to kind of push forward our agenda. We want them to inform how do we improve and better the lives of our immigrant communities and make San Mateo County a more welcoming place. Not that I don't think it's a welcoming place, but how do we create that environment for all? So I think really being that connector and engaging with our immigrant community is the main key role for our community engagement teams.
That's good. Yeah, so if we can get that copy of this presentation, that will be amazing. Probably we can explore in detail each subcommittee, and based on that, see how can we support and participate.
Yes, absolutely. I think we have your emails from the Zoom when you registered, so we plan to send out this PowerPoint as a follow-up, and also because the links are in there too, the SurveyMonkey and our email, so that's important to get out too. So yes, absolutely, Jose.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, I have a question. This is Allison Suzuki from San Mateo County of Education.
Good morning.
Hi, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for doing this. I think it's very important work, being a first generation immigrant myself, and having to support my parents who don't speak English in the county. And I'm just wondering if there's an effort made to recruit residents to join these committees.
To recruit who?
Residents, people who live in the community, to be part of the planning, the contribution to the plan?
Yeah, so we have actually reached out to a few community leaders. They're not associated with any definitive organization, but we do know that they're influential and trusted in their communities. And so we're hoping that those community leaders, we have had a few sign up, I think, for next week for this info session, but basically to do what you're saying, to bring them into the strategic planning process. I think what we are hoping of getting most of our residents' input is through this engagement effort. So we will be reaching out, but we also hope that our community engagement teams can help us reach out to our immigrant communities, knowing that, we span such a diverse geographic region. There's organizations that serve different populations or different sectors or different communities. In terms of logistics, I think that this, creating these community engagement teams will help us maximize those efforts to get our immigrant residents giving us that input.
Okay.
But if there's, people that you know of or leaders in the community that we're unaware of, we definitely ask that you send this info session to them, because we're trying to engage with as many people and as many organizations, as many churches or congregations as we can to really see if we can hit. I don't think that we'll hit every single resident, but we'll shoot for the stars.
Okay, thank you.
And I did see we have a question in the chat. Have we thought of youth or schools with DLAC, ELAC? And I'm not quite sure what DLAC or ELAC is. So Shawnice, if you can unmute yourself and maybe further explain the question. Shawnice, are you there? If not, we can chat offline, because Jasmine, unless you're familiar, I'm not familiar what DLAC or ELAC is.
I feel like I've heard ELAC, and I could guess what it is, but I don't want to, just in case I'm wrong. But Shawnice, we do actually have Niambi Clay, who is part of the San Mateo County Office of Education, I think the Diversity and Inclusion Director. And so we're hoping that with the partnership of the Office of Ed, that they will be able to help us reach out to all of the districts and each school. We have actually reached out to a few schools that we know have dream clubs or dream centers. But if there's other ways to partner, we would definitely suggest signing up for the education subcommittee, and then have that input and feedback into that group so that we can expand our outreach.
And the ELAC is the English Learners Advisory Committee from some schools.
Thank you, Jose.
So some parents who the primary language is different from English. So they have a meeting of parents and with the school about that. So probably it's trying to include these associations and groups.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that at the district? I guess, is it at the district's level, or is it per school? Everyone has one, because I think that would be important to invite these groups.
My understanding is that every school has its own ELAC group, but also they have meetings with the district. So there are some representatives from schools who attend the district-wide meetings. But yeah, every school has a ELAC group.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, I'm writing that down.
You're welcome.
Any other questions that we haven't tackled yet, or clarifications, or show of emojis who might be interested in joining? Okay, well, we don't want to steal any more of your time. I know it's been a busy a busy year. We keep saying it's just a busy week, but it's been a busy year. So thank you all so much for attending. We really appreciate you being even interested in learning about this. We hope that each of you will sign up. As a small favor, please send this out to, again, organizations or community leaders or members that you know would help this plan for our immigrant community. We will be sending out the presentation as well as the info session flyer again. So feel free to forward that if you can. And if there's no other questions, or maybe you think of something later on today or even next week, feel free to email us any questions or suggestions or whatnot. So on behalf of the county and the steering committee that has been a part of this, thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
And sorry, Jasmine, once again, what's the deadline to register for any of the subcommittees?
I would say earlier is better. I think the first subcommittee meeting might be as early as May 10th. That is what we have advised the co-chairs in terms of the timeline that we're aiming for. So May 10th would be the first subcommittee meeting all the way, I think, until the end of May. But we don't have those dates just yet. The co-chairs are still trying to finalize those dates. So the earlier you know, the better. But I would say latest is probably the first week of May.
I think earlier, just so you
Right.
could plan it yourself, in your own calendar. But I mean, if you're flexible, then I think it's fine to submit it a little bit later. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
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 Oh my goodness.